Someone asked me if I'd ever been, around this area in Ottawa before, and I said yes. I've been to the capital city many, many times, and I think maybe one of the last couple of times I was here, I was over in Manotick, and I remember the first time actually coming up this way, and we were actually going to Manotick, and I was driving with this other young priest. I said, "We're going to Manotick." He said, "Well, I think it's pronounced Manotick." I said, "No, it's Manotick. That's where we're going." "No," he said, "I think it's Manotick." I said, "Well, you're an idiot. It's pronounced Manotick." He said, "No, I think it's pronounced Manotick." We're driving. We're arguing all the way. I said, "Listen, as soon as we get there, we're going to stop because I'm sick and tired of arguing with you." I said, "It's pronounced Manotick." He said, "Well, I think it's pronounced Manotick." So I stopped and went into this place, and I said to the lady, "We've been arguing all the way here. I'd like for you to settle the argument. I'd like for you to tell me what's the correct way of pronouncing the name of this place." And she looked at me and she said, "Burger King." Manotick. Yeah, okay. So, now here's the other thing. Before you pick up the phone and call your archbishop and say O'Reilly's starting a new fad, you're probably wondering why someone who's not a deacon can read the gospel. Very simple. When we're having the celebration of the Eucharist, the reading and the proclamation of the gospel is reserved to the priest or a deacon. However, we're not having Mass. Therefore, the gospel can be read by someone who's not ordained, okay? So, dear God, please don't write the bishop. Because I may want to come back to Manotick again, okay? All right. So, what I want to do, I'm going to take the scripture over here because, you get to a certain age, you got to save steps. And they say that life begins, at 40. No. I believe after 40, everything either falls off, out, or down. Okay? I've been down to tie my shoes. I say, "Is there anything else I can do while I'm down here?" Yeah. So, I'm just going to. I don't have time because there's 8 sayings of Jesus here. Okay, but as I mentioned last night, you all probably have a copy of a Bible somewhere in your home. Now, there's different translations of the Bible, even in English. So some translations begin these sayings with the word, as we have tonight, blessed. Other translations begin with the word happy. But blessed and happy mean the same thing. Now, if you were really to want to understand what it would sound like when Jesus actually said these things in his language, Aramaic, it wouldn't be translated blessed or happy. He would go up that little mountain and he'd say to the people, "Oh, you lucky person." See, there's more light there. We just translated, blessed, happy. But let's use the word happy, okay? Because I think this is a wonderful translation, happy. Jesus wants us to be happy. A lot of people don't believe that. The world today looks at you and me, the follower of Jesus, and they say, "Look, those people are not happy." I have no idea where they get that idea that the Christian is not a very happy person. Every week I travel around, I'm in different parishes, stand up in front of large groups of people. Now, you people are very different. You're not like all the other places that I go to. You're much different. But every week I stand up, people sitting in the pew, they believe that Jesus is the source of their joy and happiness. Now, you're different, but I look out at them, and 98% of the people, to me, look like they're in absolute agony. Yeah, you're different. I could be at the door of the church on a Sunday welcoming people. They put my hand out and say, "Good morning, how are you? Welcome." "Get out of my way, Father, I'm in a hurry." I'm almost run over. Or at Mass, the priest says, let's turn and offer each other a sign of peace. I see people do this all the time. Here. Come on, hurry up, shake it. Quick, get it over with. Come on, shake it. And these are people who are married to one another, too. They don't give each other a hug or a kiss. Come on, shake it, quick. You know, I'm sure you know that there are many people, and again, I've been criticized over the years, and, sometimes when I get criticized, it may be correct and I will accept it, but there's other criticisms that I just shake my head and walk away. One lady one time, and she wasn't alone, there's been a few, who said, Father, I was very upset with you. Why? Well, you made people laugh in church. I said, yeah. Well, do you not realize that religion is serious? There's no room for joy or laughter in religion, she said. Those were her words. There's no room for joy or laughter in religion. And I said to myself, well, how do you explain when Jesus said, I've told you this, why? So that my joy may be in you, and your joy may be complete. The word that's not there is sorrow or sadness. But he mentions the word joy twice. But these people, there's lots of them who, they come into church and they're sitting in the seat, kneeling, hands folded, holy and pious. They're so close to the altar they could be chewing the toenails off the statues. They're that close, Look at holy and pious on the outside, and then as soon as Mass is over, you meet the same people somewhere. They're the angriest people you'd ever want to meet. Bitter, negative, critical, condemning, tearing down. But in the church they look so holy and pious. These are the same people who think that simply coming to church makes them a Christian. It doesn't. No more than standing in your car will make you in your garage will make you a car. It's more than just showing up that makes us a Christian. That's what I want to talk to you about tonight. Christian. Now, I'll take a couple of the Beatitudes and try to explain, in my own way, what I think Jesus was actually trying to say and how it applies to our modern day world. Okay, so Jesus went up that little hillside and he saw the people and he said this. He said, happy are those who are meek. Or in other words, gentle. He said meek. He didn't say weak. He didn't say you have to lie down and let people walk all over you. No. He said meek and gentleness. Okay. As I'm talking right now, as you know, there's a war going on somewhere in the world. And as soon as one war ends, another one starts. I don't think we can remember waking up any day and saying, today, all over the world is at peace. There's not a war going on anywhere. No. The world that you and I have to live in, unfortunately, is filled with violence and darkness. There is violence. Violence between countries, between religions, between races, between people, different colors of skin. There's violence in our homes. And as you know all too well, there is, to a certain degree, unfortunately, violence in our churches. We live in a violent world. And the value in this kingdom of darkness, the world is good, but the values sometimes in our world are not good. But we're taught these values from the time we're very small, right? Stand on your own 2 feet. Watch your back. Protect yourself at all times. Approach people with suspicion. Read the fine print. No one's going to give you anything free. There's always a hidden agenda. They've always got a catch. It doesn't matter how many people you have to walk over or use or stab in the back in order for you to get ahead, because it's you first. They don't count. And all you have to do is look around our society, and There's a number of people who just got bad attitude, and they're multiplying daily, right? Just multiplying daily. These are the people who just butt in, cut you off. People, you go to the big store and you see people with the shopping cart, and the shopping cart is piled to the heavens, and where are they walking? To the express lane. Do you say anything? Hey, you got more than 12 items in there. Oh, you don't say anything. You could get shot. You just go right ahead. So the rudeness and the bad attitude is just increasing daily, right? I remember one time it was raining outside. I stood at the door of the church after Mass, and I held the door open for this man and his two little boys. I held the door open. And this man just came out and he said to the kids, come on, hurry up, we're going to get better. Come on. And just walked by. Not even, no thank you. What are those children going to learn? Unfortunately, they would say, yeah, people just should open the door for me. I expect people to do that for me. See, the generations that are coming up after us, what kind of values are they going to be taught? So on that little hillside, Jesus said, look, that might make you happy. If someone curses you, you're told, curse them back. And if someone hurts you, we're told, hurt them back twice as much as they hurt you. Get even. He said, yeah, that might work for a while, but if you really and truly want to be happy, listen to what I'm going to say. You'll only be happy if you try to live your life as a gentle person, a gentle man, and a gentle woman. What happened? We probably listen to that now too, and we say, look, Jesus, you said those things 2,000 years ago. It's not working. These are nice, but it's an ideal, but it's hard to achieve. And maybe you shouldn't have said it the way you did. So over hundreds and hundreds of years, we've basically ignored this saying of Jesus, and we've concentrated on the other, you see. We've neglected these sayings of Jesus. You shouldn't have said that, Jesus. No, it's old-fashioned, it's outdated, this is 2019, it's not working. There's no room for a gentle person in my world. And Jesus says, the circle of violence between countries, races, religions, in your homes and in your churches will never end. It'll keep going around and around until you start to live your life as a gentle person. Gentleness and meekness, he said, is the only real antidote to violence. It's not violence, it's gentleness. It sounds stupid. It sounds unrealistic, unattainable. And that's why he said, look, people will laugh at you. They will not understand how you're trying to live your life. They'll shove you off to the side. And it's true, most of the Christians today, our society says, look, yeah, we'll let you pray. Go to your churches and pray. You can pray all day if you want, but just shut up. You've got nothing to say about what's going on in our world. We do, but they're not prepared to listen. So they make mock of us. They revile us. Yeah, Jesus said that's going to happen. But if you want the violence to end, you've got to live your life as a gentle person. And he says, it's not going to be easy because I'm sending you out like lambs among wolves. You could be devoured. You have a choice to make, though. Which set of values is going to govern your life? This one? Or the values that Jesus talked about on that little hillside? I'm going to try to make these sayings a little more practical. I'll give you some examples from my life and the life of other people. People who've made missions over the years with me, I have certain examples that I always use because they really make the point. So here's one example. My family, of course, decided to leave Ireland back in 1954 to come to Canada. Initially, they had decided to go to Australia. I could have been over in Australia shearing sheep. I don't know. But they changed their mind and they came to Canada. So anyway, came to Canada and we went to Toronto. We lived in a basement apartment. Jewish family owned the house. Wonderful family. They were at my ordination. But anyway, we lived in the basement. And it's the dream, is it not? And the goal of every new immigrant family coming to a new country, that one day you will have your own land, your own house, your own property. And of course, land and property was very important to the Irish because their land and property was taken from them. So after 5 years, my mother said to my father, I'm sick and tired of living in a basement. We need to buy a house. They went all over the big city of Toronto looking for a house. Finally, one day, my mother saw the house. She said, look, that's the house I want there. We should buy that house. That's the one I want. My mother was not interested in insignificant details like mortgage payments. It was the flowers, see, in the front yard. And of course, in the back, along the fence, were all these roses in bloom. She fell in love with the flowers. They made an offer and it was accepted. So we went back to the basement and we got the calendar, crossed off every day, counted down. The day finally arrived to move into our first house. So we get a big truck with all of our worldly belongings and we move over. And I should tell you this now. As soon as we got there, it was a big shock to my mother to find out that the next door neighbors were from England. Yeah. That was strike one against them. Strike two, not only were they English, they were not Catholics. Strike two. Strike three. I pray for these people every day. Tom and Winnie Cooper. Those are the parents. They had a daughter, Nancy. The house that we had bought was empty for 2 weeks. The Coopers went into the yard, the backyard, when the house was empty. And they moved the fence between their property and ours 3 feet in. So they stole 3 feet of land. Now were all those beautiful roses. Who was over in their yard? Well, there was no overt, war as such. My mother died, God rest her soul. She died in 1996. She was about 5 foot nothing. I didn't see it, but I'm convinced that my mother was a card-carrying member of the Irish Republican Army. Yeah. To get back at the Coopers for stealing the land, this is what we did to them. We lived side by side with that family for 20 years, and never, not once, did we speak to them. Not a word. I grew up, my 3 sisters grew up, we were told, if you're out there and they're over there, see, they had no names. If they're over there, if they're out there, don't you dare look over in their direction. Don't look at them. Don't speak to them. They're dead to us. 20 years, not a word. Well, what happened in my family? Oh, it's Sunday morning. Oh, and I'm sound asleep. And next thing is a big knock on my door, What? Get up, we have to go to Mass. Oh, get up, we're going to Mass. Get washed and dressed, get in the car, tear off to the church, run into the church, sit in the pew, and then listen to the priest up here talk wonderful sermons about love, forgiveness, patience, tolerance, acceptance. And we'd even have the nerve to get out of the pew and come up and receive communion. And then as soon as Mass was over, go right back home and still not talk to the Coopers. We were very good practicing Roman Catholics. But how Christian were we? And that's the problem. If you remember nothing else of what I'm going to say tonight, I want you to remember this. Christianity is not a religion. Roman Catholicism is a religion. The Anglicans, the Episcopalians have a religion. Baptists have a religion. Lutherans have a religion. Buddhists have a religion. Christianity is not a religion made up of rules, regulations. No. What is it? It's a way of living. How? According to these sayings of Jesus. When? Not for an hour in here, but every day, where you live, where you work, where you play. You see, Jesus says, look, I haven't come to do away with the law. The Ten Commandments are the least you can do. I'm now going to give you a new law, not written down on any tablet of stone. He said, but this new law that I'm giving you is harder to live than a commandment. This new law is going to be written in your heart. Can anybody say, I'm sure we can say to God, I'm 98, God. I don't think I've broken any of your commandments today. Great. Can anybody say, God, I think I'm gentle enough? You can never be gentle enough. You see, these are really hard to live by. Again, as I said before, in many ways in our religion, Roman Catholicism, we have overdosed on commandments. Thou shalt not. But we've ignored these. You don't hear a whole lot about these. And this is the essence of what Jesus came to say, the Beatitudes. After 20 years, of course, the Coopers were a little slow. They got the hint. They left. They moved. We won. We outlasted them. Now, here's the other thing. When I say gentleness, I guess it's an ideal. But to put it into practice every day is not easy, right? Because we're very frail and imperfect human beings. I was, coming out of a mall, and I got in my car, and it was a nice day, and my window was half down, and I was in line. There was a guy in front of me, and we're waiting for the little arrow, green arrow, so we could turn left. So he's number one, I'm number two, and I'm sitting in my car. Everything is great. Next thing, this guy comes up on my right. Now, he wants to turn left, but he's in the wrong lane. Now, had he asked me to let him in, of course, I would have let him in. But he didn't ask. Oh, no, he just presumed to take his car and cut me off. Just butt right in. Came that close to hitting me. Well, I'm at an age and a stage in my life now where I have determined not to let any act of bad manners or rudeness go unnoticed. I got to say something. I couldn't believe this idiot just cut me off, So what do? So I sat in my car and I was just furious. So I leaned on the horn, beep, 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 you moron. And then this big, huge giant of a man gets out of the car. Yeah, he comes wandering back to me, and my window is half down, and I'm sitting in the car. He's red in the face now. He's furious. He's angry. He's cursing and swearing and spitting everywhere. Oh, he's just in a rage. And he comes right up to where I am. He pokes his head right in the window. His face is right there, and he screamed at me. I won't tell you what he said. But he said, blank you old man, blank you. Well, I wasn't upset that he cursed at me. That didn't bother me at all. But he called me an old man. That really ticked me right off. So I put my head out. I said, blank you too. And then the little arrow turns green. He gets around, gets in his car, he drives off ahead of me with his finger out the window. Not this finger, the other finger. And of course, where am I? I'm right behind him with my finger, not this one, out the window. And then you get back home and you say, yes, Jesus, what was it you said? Yeah. If someone curses you, repay the curse with a blessing. Yeah. It's wonderful, but, it's always we fail, I guess. But, we have to keep trying and learn. Maybe if I've learned from that experience, if that ever happens again, if someone ever says, blank you old man, I might just put my head out the window and say, bless you. You're still not getting in, but bless you. We got to try it. It's not always going to be perfect, right? But again, what he's saying is, the human tendency is to respond with violence to violence. And he says, if someone hurts you, don't hurt them back. Turn the other cheek. It sounds ridiculous. Someone curses you, repay the curse with a blessing. Ridiculous. But he said, it's the only way. Because this circle of violence will continue. I'm going to leave you with this little story. I was back home in Ireland about 3 years ago, actually, and I hadn't been back in about 18 years, so everybody is gone now. Everybody on my mother's side and my father's side are all dead, but I have lots of cousins. So anyway, I went over there, and I heard this story when I was there, and so I'll share it with you. I heard it in a church, actually. Well, wasn't really a church. It was a pub. I thought it was a church. I heard Jesus' name mentioned so often, I thought it was a church. I know that, your wonderful pastor is going to the Holy Land. How many people here have actually been to the Holy Land? Okay, I'm talking about Israel now, right? Not Ireland. Okay, Israel? Israel. If you haven't been to the Holy Land, you may see pictures of this famous wall. They call it the Wailing Wall, okay? It's very sacred to the Jewish people. It's the remnants of the temple. And so what happens is all the Jewish people, especially on the Sabbath, go down, they put their hand on the stones and they pray. So here's a story I heard. So this fellow goes down by the wall and he says to the guide, he says, who's that little fellow in white down there by the wall? He said, that's the Pope. Where are you from? He said, I'm a Jew from Brooklyn, New York. What's that Pope doing down there by the wall? He said, he's praying for peace. Praying for peace between Jews and Arabs and Muslims and so on. Oh, he said, that's good. Who's he talking to? He said, he's talking to God. Great. Another guy says, hey, tell me again who that little fella in white is. He said, that's the Pope. Where are you from? He said, I'm from South Africa. What's that Pope doing down there? He says, praying for peace. Peace between people of different colors of skin. Oh, he said, who's he talking to? He said, he's talking to God. He said, fantastic. Another guy. Is that the Pope down there? Yeah. What's he doing? He's just down there by the wall. He said, where are you from? He said, I'm from Northern Ireland. He said, what's that Pope doing down there? He said, well, he's praying for peace between different religions, between Catholics and non-Catholics. And the fellow from Northern Ireland says, well, what's he doing? He's praying for peace for that? Yeah. He said, well, who's he talking to down there? He said, the wall. Yeah, see? 2,000 years have gone by. We're still talking to the wall. Nothing really has sunk in, right? Okay. Let's see if we can find another one here that... Oh, yeah. Okay. It's actually the very first one. So we're now towards the end, always October. In the summer, I went with one of my sisters to Costco. It was in July. I went to help her, with some groceries and that. I said, okay, so we went in, and as soon as I walked in, I said, I can't stay here. I'll meet you outside. Oh, anyway, she came out. She said, why did you have to leave? I said, it's July, right? Yeah. I said, they got Christmas decorations for sale already. Give me some time to enjoy summer. I just can't be in a store that starts to, tell you to buy Christmas stuff in July. But we do live in a world where we're told you are what you have, what you own, how much money you got in the bank, how much formal education you have, what kind of nice clothes you have, what kind of car you drive. Having these things, the world tells us, makes you happy. And on that little hillside, Jesus says, well, you really want to be happy? He said, you have to live and be poor in spirit. What does that mean? Jesus, does that mean that I can't drive a 2019 brand new, Chevy truck? He said, I'm not talking about your cars. Oh, poor in spirit. Okay. I can't have a big screen TV then. I'm not talking about the size of your televisions, he said. Oh, poor in spirit. I guess I have to look poor, be like a street person, sleep outside, and have holes in my clothes. And no. Jesus says, let me ask you a question. What do you want most out of life? Is it a thing? Is it money? Is it possessions like cars, a house? Is it power? Is it prestige? What is it? Because whatever it is you want most out of this life, you've already then running after your treasure. Where your heart is, there's your treasure. He said, never give your heart to a thing. Because no matter how good and valuable and precious the thing is, it may end up owning and possessing you. Jesus said, if you're going to give your heart away, give it to God or give it to another person. But don't give your heart away to a thing. And it's so true. Because the money that you have in the bank now, the car you drive, the house you live in, will one day belong to somebody else. One day belong to somebody else. And I remember one time in the parish saying that. I said, doesn't matter how much money you got, what kind of a car you drive, where you live. I said, one day, everybody in this parish is going to die. And there was a guy sitting in the back seat who goes, ha, ha, ha. I said, why was that funny? He said, I'm not from this parish. Nice try. But what Jesus is talking is, it's an attitude, okay? It's an attitude. He said, have you gone through your life saying, okay, I need that, I want that, I got this, I got that, I got this now, and I got it all. So I don't need you, and God, I certainly don't need you. I got it all. My heart is full. There's no room for any God or any person. My heart's just filled. Poverty of spirit means that you've got some room left in your heart. And that no amount of these wonderful earthly goods are going to prevent us from getting sick or suffering or dying. A lady said this to me on a mission one time. She came in and she said, I don't like going to doctors, but she said, I went for my annual checkup when the doctor sent me to a specialist for more tests. And she said, I thought nothing of it. Wasn't expecting a call back, but I got a call. Go back to see the specialist. She said, I'm sitting in the doctor's office after 5 minutes of just chit-chat. The doctor says, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but the tests show that you've got cancer. She said, no, I don't. Yes, you do. No, I don't. That's not possible. I don't feel sick. I feel perfectly healthy and well. I can't have cancer. He said, you do. She said, I was stunned. She said, I have no memory of how I made it back home from the doctor's office. My husband was at work. The kids were in school. I went into the kitchen, made myself a cup of coffee, came back out on the living room, sat on the couch. She said, I looked around. She said, Father, we're not rich, but we're comfortable. We worked darned hard to get what we have. Saved, did without, denied ourselves all kinds of things to get what we have. We're not rich, but we're comfortable. We're very proud of what we have. And she said, I have a little hobby. I've started this when I was very young. I collect spoons. Every vacation, every holiday I go, I bring back a spoon. My friends know that. They go on their holidays, they'll bring me back a spoon. She said, I'm sitting on the couch having my coffee just after being told that I've got cancer. The walls of my house are filled with plaques of spoons. And she said, I looked around and she said, those bloody spoons, the money I've spent, the time I've wasted, what's going to happen to my spoons when I die, she said. Isn't that stupid? You see, this is what Jesus is saying. Set your heart on the things that will truly last, not rust away, not rot away, not be lost. See? Seek ye first God's kingdom, and all these other things will be given to you as well. So it's not easy, because we live in a world that says, having these things makes you happy. Not having them makes you unhappy. No. What Jesus is saying is, you can have the nicest car, the biggest house, the biggest bank account, but make sure that you don't think that those things alone are going to ensure your happiness or prevent you from getting sick or suffering or even dying. So he said, look into your heart. Have you got some room left there? That's, I think, what he's talking about, poverty of spirit. I have lots of wonderful nieces. And these young ladies, I mean, they're like every young person in today's modern generation. They'd never be caught dead in a dollar store. No, they don't shop in dollar stores. It's the brand name clothing stores, right? So just at Christmas time, if I go up to visit, which I do, I'll bring their Christmas gifts up in a dollar store bag. I know, it's terrible. Yeah. Why would you buy a $3 tube of toothpaste at Shoppers when you can get the same toothpaste for $1 at the dollar store? It doesn't make any sense to me, but anyway. But they have to have the brand name clothing and everything else. Okay, all right. Poverty of spirit. Okay, I think I have time for one more. Oh, yeah. Do you realize something? I went to bed one night and I got up the next morning, and to my great surprise, there are no more old people in the world. All the old people disappeared. I don't know where they went, but there's no more old people anymore in the world. They're gone. What we have is a world filled with seniors. All the old people have disappeared, but we got lots of seniors. Okay? And we no longer put old people in old folks' homes. No. We put them in places, we give them wonderful sounding names like, assisted living centers, right? Where is she living now? Shady Acres. Sounds like a cemetery. Shady Acres. The world that we live in tries to tell you and me that aging is a disease. That getting old is a sickness to be avoided at all costs. Right? And they tell us, don't say the word die. It's too final. So, listen to how people talk. What happened? Oh, she passed away. Or he passed on. I mean, you pass gas too, but you passed on. He's deceased. He's expired. He's gone over. Kicked the bucket. We don't want to use the word die. Oh, it's too final. See? No, don't use it. They think if you don't use the word, it's not going to happen. And the world that we live in today, we idolize and worship youth, which is wonderful. Being young is a fantastic time of life. But we can't always stay young. You look at all the commercials on TV now, they're not aimed at people like you and me. It's 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, right? And they're the ones that are getting all the, because we idolize and worship youth. In our world says, look, think young, feel young, look young. And they tell us in our culture, avoid and deny all forms of aging and getting old, because that's to be avoided, All you women, you're making the cosmetic industry very rich. You realize that? Billion-dollar industry, cosmetics. Because they tell all you ladies, if you see a wrinkle, what you're supposed to do once you discover a new wrinkle, you rush right out and buy this little tube of what they call anti-aging cream, right? It's a cream that will prevent you from aging. Now, I'm looking at some of you here tonight, and I can tell you this. It's not working. There's no cream that will prevent us from aging. Really, And I'm not just picking on the women here. Men, the same thing. When you get to a certain age, the hair starts to go. Oh, yeah, what do? You start parting it from the side or from the back over here. Push it down there, put all the grease on it, right? And then the wind comes up and there it is, a 65, 70-year-old man in a Speedo. Boy, I don't think so. 85-year-old woman in a leather miniskirt. No. That ship has sailed. You have to accept and embrace the stage of life that we're in. But our culture says, no, you have to be young forever. It's not possible. So on that little hillside, Jesus says, you really want to be happy? Now this one doesn't get a lot of attention. It should. He said, you want to be happy? You have to mourn. How in the name of God is mourning going to make us happy? Basically, it's very simple. Jesus said, as you go through life, there will be and you will experience all kinds of loss. Don't deny them. Your society tells you deny the losses. I say to you, mourn them. Shed the tears. They're real. They're painful. We have a lot to mourn for. As I alluded to earlier, the loss of our physical youth. We can't do the things that we once did. Run upstairs and run downstairs without either falling or tripping or breaking something or getting winded. Maybe the hearing is gone. Maybe the eyesight, you can't see too well. Those are losses. Maybe the memory just slowly can't remember things. It's painful when we realize that physically we're aging and I've lost some of those abilities that I once thought nothing of when I was young. And Jesus said, don't cover it up. Don't deny it. Your society says, yeah, paint over it. No. Accept it. It's painful. Yeah? You see, the mind is supposed to be forever young. And I was telling someone at the back, I used to play a lot of hockey. And when I was a pastor, I'd go out and play hockey 3 nights a week. Loved playing hockey. In my mind, if I put on a pair of skates and a hockey stick in my hand, in my mind, I could do the same thing that I did 35 or 40 years ago. No problem. In my mind. If I tried it, my body says to me, you probably will die. So I don't do that, right? So we have to mourn for the loss of our youth, our physical abilities, which are diminishing. What else do we have to mourn for? We all have dreams, right? I want to do this with my life. I want to accomplish this. Some of our dreams we did realize, but others, no. They'll never be born. They'll never see the light of day. And Jesus said, cry for them. They're not going to happen. As much as you would like that dream to be realized, it's not going to happen. To be happy, let it go. Relationships. We enter into marriages, friendships. It's going to be a happy, life-giving marriage till the day I die. Hopefully, yes. Practically, for some people, no. Painful when that relationship ends. Shed the tears. Cry over it. But let it go. One of the commandments broken a lot today, number 4, honor your father and mother. Hey, I listen to parents and grandparents. Sacrifice for their children so they could have what they never had. Tried to, pass on their values, their faith, their beliefs, their morals. And you say, they don't call, they don't visit, they don't write unless they want something. You mourn for the loss of love and respect that you should receive from your children but don't receive. That's painful. Jesus said, mourn it, cry over it, but let it go. And perhaps the biggest loss of all is the loss of our own physical lives. That strikes fear and terror into the heart of every human being. Doesn't matter how much faith you have. When the hand of death moves in and touches us in our homes, painful. And when someone dies, there's always an emptiness there, a hole that's ripped in your heart that'll never be filled. That's why they call it a heartache. Nothing, no one can ever replace and fill in that hole. It's going to be there. Okay? There's certain things in life you can never get back. When you speak a word, it's gone. If you pick up a stone and throw it, it's gone. If you miss an occasion, a baptism, a wedding, an anniversary, if you miss that occasion, it's gone. And when someone dies physically, they leave this earth, they're gone. They're not coming back. And that's the hardest thing for us to wrap our minds around. So I'm just going to give you a little analogy. I don't understand the whole process of death and dying, obviously. People say to me, Father, what happens when people die? How would I know? I've never died. But this is what I believe. We all have a faith, right? So the way it goes for me is this. When I was in my mother's womb, you were in your own mother's wombs, I was there in my mother's womb. That was my whole universe. And I was there content in my mother's womb. I was well fed, protected, safe, sucking on my thumb, happy, happy, happy. And I wanted to stay there forever. But yet at a time that I didn't know, I was physically, and I can assure you, violently thrown out of that womb into this world. Being born is a traumatic experience. And I was so shocked when I was born. I can tell you this, I didn't speak for about a year and a half. I was wow. What a shock. Where am I? This is a womb now. Here we are. This is another womb. And we're happy, happy, happy. We want to stay here forever. But again, at a certain time that we don't know, all of us, we will be physically and maybe violently thrown out of this womb into what? We're told eyes have not seen, ears have not heard what is in store for you who believe that Jesus, when he died, was raised to new life, not just back to this one, but a new existence by his Father. If you believe that, we're told, when we die, the same thing will happen to us. We have no proof of that. That's just faith. That's just faith. But, there's a number of things that I really could say about this whole topic, but I just want to leave you with this, that, we're always good at putting things off. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do that next month. I'll do it next year, right? Don't do that. Don't put things off. Because we never get around to doing it. Maybe now's the time to make that phone call that we said we should be doing, or write that little note or letter, or tell someone you forgive them, or someone that you love them. Don't put those things off, because you never know, how much time we have. And I say that not to strike fear into our hearts, but to make us enjoy and live this day fullest, right? This fullest. I've been at the bedside of many people who were dying, who were leaving this physical existence and going and dying and leaving to another place, world, whatever. What I've heard, there's three words that I've heard over and over again from those people who were dying. These three words basically are sayings. I'm sorry. I forgive you. I love you. And my point is this. Why do we wait until we're dying to say those words that we're dying to say now? See, you got to say the words now. Don't wait until you're on your deathbed to say them, because you may never get a chance even to say them then. Right? We save wine for special occasions. Yeah. You know, any day that you can open your eyes is a special occasion. Any day that you get out of bed and walk, assisted or unassisted, is a special occasion. Any day that you can get in the shower and sing off key to your heart's content is a special occasion. Any day that you can walk outside and let yourself get soaking wet and not run for an umbrella like we did when we were kids is a special occasion. Every day that you can laugh till your belly hurts, not just a hee hee hee, but a laugh that just makes your belly sore, is a special occasion. You know, so there's many different types of wines. You know, we save wines, you know, and bottles of booze for wedding anniversaries. You know, no. So don't save those wines or whatever. Drink them now, okay? Because you may never get a chance to drink them later. No. Each day is a special occasion. Enjoy and celebrate it. And while I'm on this topic, I'll leave you with this. I don't know if you heard this, but we have different types of wine now. There's Pinot Grigio, right? Pinot Grigio. And there's Pinot Gris. The LCBO has just come out with a new wine for seniors. Have you heard about that one? It's called Pinot More. Yeah. I have a case of it. It's very good. Read Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5, if you get a chance, okay? Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5. Everything that Jesus said about the reign of God, the kingdom, is in that chapter. These sayings of Jesus can't just stay in this book. We have to live them, okay? So remember, Christianity is not a religion. It's a way of living. So I'm going to ask you to listen to this little song. Then after the song, I have a couple of announcements, and then we're finished, all right? So this Jesus that I've been speaking of this evening, of course, has been listening to everything that I've been saying, every thought that you've been thinking. This Jesus has been as close to us as the air that we breathe. And Jesus was a very gentle man. He was gentle so that we could be strong. And he was taken that he would be given to us as we journey through life. So just close your eyes and allow these words to penetrate into your hearts. You were broken that we may be healed. You were gentle that we may be strong. You were brought low for the world to see that in weakness is our strength. In the power and the glory, the glory of your name, Jesus.
the glory of your name. You were given that we may receive. You were taken that we may be free. You were poured out for the world to see, that in weakness is our strength, in the power and the glory, the glory of your name. Jesus, Jesus, in the power and the glory, the glory of your name, in the power and the glory, the glory of your name. So again, folks, I do want to thank you for making the effort to be here this evening. I certainly appreciate it. And I hope that you realize that, there were some really important things that I was trying to say, even though they may have been couched in some crazy stories and examples. And I think, though, that people will remember a story longer than you'll remember anything else. So if you remember a story, maybe you'll remember the point that I was trying to make to go along with it. The CDs are still available at the back there. I think Mike is going to be at that table. And they'll be available every night of the mission until the last night. Another special? It was no accident that I chose this guy to look after the CDs, right? So here's a little announcement here now about the, I'm over there in the house with your wonderful priests, and I've seen their library, and they read like Father Anthony studying canon law, reading big thick books like this. Father Lucas has big thick. I don't read big thick books. I read fridge magnets, and I said, where do you find in the Bible such and such a thing? And Father Luke says, well, that's in John's Gospel, chapter 4, verses 15 to 19. And I look it up, and he's right. I wish I'd paid more attention in the seminary. I can't do that. I have to flip pages to find things, okay? So there's something in here that I want to read to you that I know Jesus said, but I just have to flip the pages to find it, okay? Bear with me for a second. I know it's here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Jesus said, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there shall be a collection. It's not in there. It should be, but it's not in there.